Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrina and this is Katrina Reads. Happy New Year, and this is the first January that I'm going to be here on BookTube, and so I wanted to start with proper BookTube programming by doing my first TBR. Now, I started this channel with two reasons. One, to find a community, and two, to begin to reform muscles that had atrophied as a reader. Just because of different reasons, I have become almost exclusively a audio listener, audio reader. I want to get back to physical reading, whether it be by ebook or by actual holding a physical book. I don't think one is better than the other. I just have, as personally as a lifelong lover of books, feel like I personally have lost something from being able to read a physical book and enjoy handling it, enjoy annotating, writing in it, highlighting, all of that kind of stuff that I've done since I was a little kid. And so and then the other thing is I have like almost 5,000 books coming up in my Kindle. Years ago, I signed up for this, I guess it's an aggregate of free or bargain ebooks called BookBub, and they send you an email every day, and they just list out all the books from all the different e-readers. And then just recently this year, I signed up for another one called The Fussy Librarian, and I thought, I'm probably going to keep getting repeats or books that I've already read. Nope, they find even different books. Very rarely is there a crossover from The Fussy Librarian and the BookBub. So I have, it's like this whole other hobby of collecting ebooks, but I'm not reading them. So I'm like, you know what? Let me start reading them. Let me start reading those. That's part of another more like trying to quiet and center myself and be able to be okay again and quiet. Just wanting to start centering myself a little bit more, being quiet, being present. All of that is part of this returning to certain types of reading. I'm not ever going to give up audio listening. That's just too pleasurable for me, and that's still going to be the bulk of my reading. But I wanted to hold myself accountable and add these TBR rules to myself to help with that part of it. It was interesting that I read, just normal white books, or I read black books, and most of the time the black books are black struggle or nonfiction, and so I want to read Black joy and things like that. So number one on my list is black, and that means that's separate from nonfiction, specifically because this year I read a lot more. Like I read black romance, and I read black books. I tried to read black science fiction. I didn't really do that well, but the Afrofuturism, I couldn't quite connect to that, but I did read black YA, and I read a lot of romance and things like that. So I want to read more black fiction and joy and love. So number one, the book must be black, and that's separate from nonfiction. Number two, from another culture. Number three, plus size. Number four, LGBTQIA. Number five, Kindle backlist. Number six, physically read. Number seven, nonfiction. Number eight, out of my comfort zone. Number nine, romance. That's just because I keep forgetting that I love romance. I keep forgetting that romance is delightful, and every time I read it, I'm just like, why am I not reading more romance? I want that to be a must. I'm reading romance. And number 10, I just wanted to have kind of a miscellaneous, and as I go, I just wanted a round number one, and then I wanted to have a miscellaneous thing. Like this month it's going to be Jane Eyre, so I put classic historical rereads. So the first book that I'm going to read is Felix Ever After. I am reading this, and then I'm going to annotate it and write my little notes into it and send it to The child that I have an adult child who is non-binary. And while this book is about, I believe, a trans child, and it's by Case and Calendar, Felix Ever After. Felix love has never been in love, and yes, he's painfully aware of the irony. He desperately wants to know what it's like and why it's so easy for everyone but him to find someone. What's worse is that even though he's so proud of his identity, Felix also secretly fears that he's one marginalization too many, Black, queer, and transgender, to ever get his own happily ever after. When an anonymous student begins sending him transphobic messages after publicly posting Felix's dead name alongside images of him before he transitioned, Felix comes up with a plan for revenge. What he didn't count on, his catfish scenario landing him in a quasi-love triangle. But as he navigates his complicated feelings, Felix begins a journey of questioning and self-discovery that helps redefine his most important relationship, how he feels about himself. Felix Ever After is an honest and layered story about identity, falling in love, and recognizing the love you deserve. That sounds beautiful. And it seems like it's a YA book. I specifically picked a YA book because my child is young. They are not a teenager. They're, like I said, they're an adult. But I figured young adult it still encompasses them, and it would be an easy read for me and easy for me to comprehend. I think it would be inappropriate for me to try to understand this concept or come into this discussion with some kind of academic tome and then come at my child with questions. Also, I want my child to enjoy the read as well. So they read fantasy and like any kind of fantasy. So like Japanese fantasy and like really advanced fantasy. And there are characters that are non-binary and stuff showing up in it. And I see it in reviews and things like that. But the farthest into fantasy that I've gotten has been Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is much more, even though there's magical elements of Game of Thrones is much more grounded than some of the stuff that they are into. And so, I don't know. I just thought this would be, I saw this come up a bunch of times. I feel like I don't have to hold it up because it's backwards, but I saw this show up a couple times. It looks like a beautiful book. There's people of color. My children are mixed. I believe Felix is mixed as well. And so I just thought this was a good entree into that conversation. So Felix checks off Black, LGBTQIA, and it might check off another culture because they are Hispanic as well, I believe. Black and Hispanic, I believe. So my next book I'm going to read is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. That's a classic. It's a reread. It's historical. It's Black. And I'm also going to do a vlog of reading like I think 3 or 4 Toni Morrison books. So that will be a part of that. But I want to. Picola Breedlove, a young Black girl, prays every day for beauty. Mocked by other children for the dark skin, curly hair, and brown eyes that set her apart, she yearns for the blonde hair, blue eyes that she believes will allow her to finally fit in. Yet, as her dream grows more fervent, her life slowly starts to disintegrate in the face of adversity and strife. A brilliant examination of our obsession with beauty and conformity, Toni Morrison's virtuosic Virtuosic. The next book I'm going to read is called Timeless by Gail Carriger. That's going to be a miscellaneous book just for fun for me. It's catching up on a series that I have been reading, and so that doesn't count for anything, just for enjoyment. And it's not that these other books are not going to be for enjoyment. It's just that I want them to also fit into some of these other rules, categories, so that I can get myself out of some of the reading staleness that I've gotten myself into. Hood Feminism: Notes from the Women That the Movement Forgot by Mikki Kendall will be my nonfiction book this month. Today's feminist movement has a glaring blind spot, and paradoxically, it is women. Mainstream feminists rarely talk about meeting basic needs as a feminist issue, argues Mikki Kendall. But food insecurity, access to quality education, safe neighborhoods, a living wage, and medical care are all feminist issues. All too often, however, the focus is not on basic survival for the many, but on increasing privilege for the few. That feminists refuse to prioritize these issues has only exacerbated the age-old problem of both the interscene discord and women who rebuff at carrying the title. Moreover, prominent white feminists broadly suffer from their own myopia with regards to how things like race, class, sexual orientation, and ability intersect with gender. How can we stand in solidarity as a movement, Kendall asks, when there is the distinct likelihood that some women are oppressing others? So that sounds interesting. Jane Eyre is going to be my classic and my historical reread. And I read that book as a child. I guess I can look it up and read the synopsis for you. I figure all of us know, but let's not assume. Orphaned as a child, Jane has felt an outcast her whole young life. Her courage is tested once again when she arrives in Thornfield Hall, where she has been hired by the brooding, proud Edward Rochester to care for his ward Adele. Jane finds herself drawn to his troubled yet kind spirit. She falls in love hard. But there's a terrifying secret inside the gloomy, forbidden Thornfield Hall. Is Rochester hiding from Jane? Will Jane be left heartbroken and exiled once again? I read this as a child multiple times. It's Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I'm attracted to books about women who are not necessarily pretty, gothic, gloomy things, romance, but romantic. There's always got to be love at the heart of a lot of the heartache, and feeling like an outcast. Those are all things that I relate to and grew up feeling like and relating to. And so this was a book I was drawn to as a very melancholy little morose child, and it's my classic historical reread. Now, Civil Warriors is my number 8, 9, and 5. So it's my Kindle backlist. It's out of comfort zone, and it's romance. It's a love story. It's a romance set in the Civil War, interracial romance set in the Civil War, and I'm hesitant to read something like that. But I'm going to. So let's read. It's Kindle backlist, so I already have it. But let's read. I don't think I've ever read synopsis. Again, it's a hobby to just collect the books, and so it's time for me to start actually reading them. Book description for Civil Warriors by Tracy A. Ball. I love you. God help me, I do. Those are quotes. The air lay heavy between them. Her eyes were glossy with moisture, his intense with emotion. Quote, tell me, if you can, you do not feel the same. Quote, he whispered so low it might have been silence. Quote, and make me believe it. End quote. Civil Warriors, a story of love and possession. There are things the Sagamores could and could not do. William defied all social norms. Georgie could be trusted with any secret. Georgia Ann did as she pleased, and John Richard would kill a man for hurting her. But William could not keep his feelings hidden. Georgie could not let an innocent man die. Georgia Ann could not be a slave. And despite going to hell, John Richard could not stop loving her. Interesting. I don't see anyone I know of who has read the book, but okay. So it's also it's in this this list featuring this book, historical fiction with POC. So it's historical too. Okay, so one to watch. Ooh, it has a long synopsis. One to watch by Kate Stamen, London. B. Schumacher is a devastatingly stylish plus-size fashion blogger who has amazing friends, a devoted family, legions of Insta followers, and a massively broken heart. Like the rest of America, B indulges her weekly obsession, the hit reality show Main Squeeze, the fantasy dates, the kiss-off rejections, the surprising amount of guys named Chad. But B is sick and tired of a lack of body diversity on the show. Since when is being size 0 prerequisite for getting engaged on television? Just when B has sworn off dating altogether, she gets an intriguing call. Main Squeeze wants her to be the next star, surrounded by men vying for her affections. B agrees on one condition. Under no circumstances will she actually fall in love. She is in this to supercharge her career, subvert harmful anti-fat beauty standards, inspire women across America, and get a free hot air balloon ride. That's it. And when the camera starts rolling, B realizes things are more complicated than she anticipates. She's in a whirlwind of sumptuous couture, internet culture wars, sexy suitors, and an opportunity or two or five to find messy, real-life love in the midst of a made-for-TV fairy tale. This sounds fun. Cindy, books with Cindy. Oh, read with Cindy. Cindy rated it 5 stars. Bookish Realm rated it 3 stars. Ooh, I'm interested. So that's my plus size book synopsis. So I think that's everything. I will wrap this all up at the end of the month and check off what I read and how I did, and if there were any substitutions. That's what you can expect in the wrap up. Just give me a stack of books. I'll try to be more creative next time, and I'll see you in the next video, and be easy on yourself. Bye.